We're gonna use these two trees, a little paracord, some bankline, and a couple of sticks, and we're gonna make a lethal trap. All right, so we got a stick here that we're gonna use to wind this up. And so we're gonna need the meatier part of the stick here. We're gonna cut it. And then the other piece is gonna be a little bar right here. And then I got one stick right here that's gonna be our trigger stick. So now let's start making this trap. What we're gonna do is pull our string out, our paracord, and we're gonna be probably about this high on this tree. I got a knot on this end to keep it from slipping. And then let's just wrap it around this tree a couple times. It don't have to be too tight, but you want it kind of firm. And then we'll come back around here and put us a knot and secure it off. Now, once we put a stick in here and tighten this up, and when the trees come in, it's gonna add like a spring type action. I mentioned that this was gonna be a lethal trap, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the bigger end of this stick right here, and we're gonna cut a notch, like a log cabin notch, not too close to the end. Now we're gonna do the same thing with this stick, but we're gonna cut it right here and we're gonna make this into a point. And let's carve a point out. All right, now we got us a nice sharp point there. We could go ahead and lash these two together. All right, that shouldn't go nowhere. That's good and tight. Now we'll end it with a clove hitch on this piece right here. So now we have a good point here. It's not moving, and this is gonna come around and that's gonna stab what we're aiming to catch. On this end of the stick, we're gonna carve it flat, straight parallel with the point. Now this flat piece is going to be your trigger part. There we go. Now we got it good and flat right there. Now we're going to make us a branch that goes across here, and we're going to tie this onto that tree, and this is going to hold our trigger. Now we're going to loosely lash this onto the tree, but before we do that, we're going to cut this flat on the top and the bottom right here. So we're just going to make it flat right here in the middle. We'll put us a good 90-degree angle in there. Now that's going to be lashed on like that. That 90-degree angle is going to hold our bait stick, our trigger piece. Now we want to see where we want this thing to hit. That's going to be right about here. All right, so now we need to wind this thing up. Backwards. So when you let it go, it's going to move forward. So we're going to actually make it a little bit taller where it hits in the dirt. Now this thing is going to be hard. It's going to be pretty deadly. If you let it slip, you could get stuck and hurt and hit. And so it's winding the trees together, and that's going to be the last wind right there before stuff starts popping, I think. So now we need some way to hold this. So what I did is I created a stick here, and that's gonna hold this while we work on it down here. So we're gonna put a trigger stick down here, and we'll go ahead and lash that dude on. It don't have to be perfect, it's just gotta be secure. You want this edge that we carved to be flush with the flat edge of this trap, and you go ahead and lash this dude on. I'll finish this dude up with a clove hitch as well. That should be good and straight. So what I've done now is we got a bait stick here. We need to put a real long notch in here, and this is going to be your trigger mechanism. It's going to hold up against the flat piece that we cut out a while ago, and then it's going to hold against the actual mechanism itself. And whenever something touches the stick's going to fall, and then the trap's going to spring forward. So let's measure out how big of a notch we're going to need for this trap, and then we'll put it on there, and then we'll carve this down to a point where you put your bait on the front of this stick. We're gonna make like a little 2-inch notch here, and this notch is gonna be our trigger mechanism for this trap. We got the notch here I made, and this is gonna fit up underneath there on the actual mechanism. And then this is going to hold up against here. So when something eats the bait off of this, stick, it's gonna make it fall, and then the actual trap's gonna spring. I trimmed down the trigger stick to where it's got a point here. And this point is gonna be for putting your bait on. And whenever they go to move it, it's gonna jar it off of here and gonna kill you a critter. So now, to arm the trap, be careful. You're gonna put this back here and like that. And so now, you put your bait in here, and let's see if we can do this with a longer stick. So now, your critter comes up here and hits this stick. It's kind of, I gotta mess with the trigger here, but it hits that, and then bam, whatever it is gonna be dead. Now let's reset it and show you what it actually does. And you can continue to modify this, scrape down on this trigger piece here on both sides and make it a little bit smaller. Now what you want to do that you get this trap set is you want to put a bunch of sticks and stuff right here and make a funnel to where they have to come in through this side in order to hit your bait. And then you want to block this off back here with a bunch of debris and sticks where they can't come over it or through it or under it or whatnot. They have to come around here and they come through the funnel. And then once they reach down here to this bait stick, if you notice how the bait stick is right here, their head is where my fist is. And then this trap comes down through their back and it'll pin them to the ground and kill them. Now hopefully showing you how to make this trap was helpful. If you did, like, follow, and share. I'll see you next time. God bless you.